Hey, what else? Welcome back to another video on my channel. I'd fully intended to have a real intro for this, but my camera quality just did not turn out good for whatever reason, so I'm gonna stick to this. Anyways, here's my makeup for Tate. I hope you guys like it. To start off, I mixed my normal foundation color with white face paint to create a pale skin tone. I didn't do straight up white because Evan Peters still had some color on their face in the show. I also didn't worry about covering up my eyebrows because Evan's weren't blocked out and I wasn't intending on looking exactly like Evan Peters, but more so just doing my makeup to look like Tate's. If I were to go for a more Evan Peters look, I would have glued down my eyebrows. But since I did not, I used concealer and I put it into my brows. To make the skull markings, I mixed black and white face paint because I didn't want to do straight up black because it would be harder to do shading, as once you do black you're kind of stuck there. For the eye shape, I just made little curvatures but on the bottom I noticed there was a line going inwards towards the nose. It's very small and faint. And on the outsides there was a line going upwards to the foreheads and a line going zigzag towards the ears. Along with the line underneath the eye, there's also a dot. On my nose bridge, I draw this curved line going inwards. For the eyebrow area, I add a curving line that goes inwards. I later go on and shade this so it blends in more with the skin. For the nose, I started applying the paint on the tips of my nose, and then I started adding it on the outside. I make sure it goes around my nostrils rather than cutting inwards, but honestly, it's quite a preference. The majority of the face is symmetrical except for a few things. One of those few things is one side of the nose tends to go higher than the other. I also had a problem where I couldn't tell if the center of Tate's nose was highlighted or there just wasn't any black there. So I decided to add paint there and just add a highlight at the end. This is where I start to fill in some of my features. I wasn't doing it before because I was gonna add shading towards the end, but then I realized that I'll just do that with eyeshadow. Since both eyes are fairly symmetrical, I decided to edit out me doing the other eye. The process is the exact same except everything is mirrored. For the mouth and teeth portion, I decided that I wanted to start off by doing the teeth first rather than the indentions in the cheekbones. To do this, I just added lines from the corners of my lips and extended them outwards towards my ears. I then decided that I wanted to mark out the cheekbone shape before I added the teeth just so I could figure out where I wanted them to go. I made it a curved line that looks like this. After making the curved line on the other side of my cheek, I start marking out the teeth. I begin this by making little lines on the tops and bottoms of lips. My best advice for this part is to count the number of teeth that there are on the top and bottom. There are different amounts, I believe. The sizes of the teeth do not need to be perfect. I know mine aren't. I just tried to keep the shapes as close to the reference as possible. Once I got to the outer teeth, I started adding the curved lines above them. That's because I have a hard time remembering my thought processes when coming back to things, so a way to help this was to make lines in advance so then I'd remember to do it later on. After finishing the teeth on the other side of my face, I began to do the bottom row of teeth. The shapes tend to be the same, although the amount of teeth is different. I also noticed that the teeth on the bottom tended to be longer than the top ones. Just like with the top row of teeth, I make the ones on the edges more circular than the others. After marking out all the teeth, I add another curved line that looks like this. After that, I start to make the tops and bottoms of the teeth. For the most part, they're all round. Some also tend to be more pointier than others and as well as smaller. I recommend just looking at the reference picture. They all are kind of different sizes, but depending on how accurate you want to go with it, you can honestly make them all the same size. I did not, on the other hand. After making a rough outline of the teeth, I then began to add the details in the cheekbones. For the most part, the outermost teeth tend to have lines that go into the cheekbones. They start out strong, nearest to the teeth, and fade out as they continue along. The inside of the cheekbone, as well as parts of the neck, have this pattern that almost looks like vertebrae. It looks like a chunk of lines with other lines in them, as well as shading. The outermost parts of the cheeks are faded in more, and the inward parts tend to have those vertebrae type things I was explaining. After completing the other side of my cheek, I add small details to the chin. They're just little curved lines, but I feel like they're kind of necessary. After doing the rough outlines of everything on the face, I start to work on the neck. This is the most complex part, but in a way, it's also the easiest to get away with not doing correctly. For instance, I didn't really know what shapes I was doing. I have a hard time at doing this thing in art that you're supposed to be taught, is to draw what you see, not what you think you see. I draw what I think I see. I don't care what people have to say. Anyways, I improvised a lot of the details. The main ones that I stuck to were the bone shapes in the center of the neck and the vertebrae looking things that were similar to the ones on the cheekbones. I also highly recommend that if you're doing this makeup, please put a mirror directly in front of you, not to the side like I did, because my neck didn't come out very straight, which, I mean, it happens. It's an easy fix. Not really. What I mean by that is, like, if you're taking photos, just turn your neck, but if you're wearing it out, you're gonna have a sideways neck, so that's fun, I guess. It adds character. From watching very many body painting and detailed makeup works videos in the past, I have heard a lot of artists that say that when dealing with complex patterns or designs, they like to sketch it out so they can get a practice and a feel of what they're going for before they put it on their bodies. I, however, do not like planning because I'm afraid of deviating from the plan, because that seems scary to me, so I just kind of make a rough sketch of everything. I'm not going to say much about the detail on the neck because I honestly was kind of doing just random things, doing what I saw and kept going, and I'm going to leave everything in here just because I know me as a viewer, I would like seeing everything all sped up, but if not, there will be this time here where the neck details is done. After adding all the details on the neck, I take this dark gray, almost black eyeshadow and I start to add shading to the face. And what I mean by this kind of shading is that I add this eyeshadow to the parts of my face where there is a lot of paint, and I tend to stick the eyeshadow and make it darker in the places that are more inward so they look more sunken in as they would on a normal skull. This also helps to stop the makeup from creasing. To actually shade the face, I take this light gray eyeshadow and I apply it to the places where I want shaded, such as my brow bone, and then I blend it all inwards with my finger. I also add shading to my temples and my forehead to make my face look smaller. The teeth, they pretty much extend the lines that were already there. I make them more elongated and I fade them out with my finger as well. I also make sure to make the most inward parts of the teeth darker. To highlight the face, I take this white face paint and I start adding it to my brow bones, center of my nose, and forehead. I also add it to the outside of my eyes, my jawline, my chin, and I add some paint to the center of the teeth, not because it was highlighted in my reference picture, but because I honestly just felt like doing it. Similar to the teeth, I also highlight the parts on my neck just so I can separate things and add a bit more differentiation. I add it to random spots that I feel like would look better highlighted. You honestly don't have to highlight it if you don't want to. I just like being different. And that was it for the video. If you happen to like it, leave a like. And I love hearing feedback, so if you want to comment something, that'd be greatly appreciated. You can honestly just comment about anything. You could be nice, you could be rude, I don't care. I just like seeing comments. Also subscribe if you want to. You don't have to, but like, I mean, you can. So, bye.